Yeah, you're in the right spot.
You were right.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry. Thank you for joining us today. I call the July 18th meeting of the Human Rights Commission to order. Let's begin with an introduction of commission members, starting with Rochelle, please.
Hello. Oh, sorry, guys. I probably should fix my mic. Hello, everyone. I am Rochelle Boa, member.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Zoe Apsey, commission member.
Cody Severson, commission chair.
I'm Aaron Carter, member.
Carolyn B. Kraft, Commissioner.
Kristen Nelson, commission member.
Thank you, folks. The next item is to approve the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Hi, Tamba. All right, the next item is to approve the minutes of the April 18th, 2024 and May 16th, 2024 meetings. They were in your little packet. Can I get a motion to approve them? Are people satisfied?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carried. Those two minutes are good. All right, so the first item that we have up here is the YMCA Summer Meals Program presentation by Katie Anderson. So, if you're okay coming up to this one, and then do we want to switch the PowerPoints? I guess
We shouldn't have PowerPoint.
no PowerPoint. Okay,
No PowerPoint, just found out about this. So,
Yesterday.
lovely. Okay.
It's fine.
so I am Katie Anderson. I am the Food Program Director for the YMCA of Cass and Clay Counties. Just a little overview of what we do at the YMCA. We have over 43 CACFP, SFSP, at-risk meals, and senior meal sites. We run USDA-funded programs for North Dakota and Minnesota. So the YMCA works with the USDA and our state sponsors to end hunger and obesity by providing access to healthy food and nutritional education for low-income people and children, and not just low-income, pretty much for all children and families in the community. So the CACFP is the Child and Adult Care Food Program. It provides federal funds to non-residential child care and adult care facilities to serve nutritious meals and snacks. The goal is to improve and maintain the health and nutritional status of children and adults while promoting the development of good eating habits. So our meals are whole grain, there's fruits, there's vegetables, there's milk, there's protein. So no added sugar. We try to kind of cut all of that stuff out. Every now and then they get a treat, but for the most part, they are pretty healthy. The program's goal is to ensure that children in low-income communities have access to nutritious meals when school is not in session, is the SFSP. So the SFSP is the Summer Food Service Program. So the USDA sends out each year a capacity mapper, which pretty much locates any low-income or in-need areas in the community, and we try to target those areas. So when school is in session, kids have access to breakfast and lunch. When school is not in session, a lot of them do not have access to breakfast and lunch. And then a lot of times kids are taking care of their younger siblings, so they have to make meals. So the Summer Food Service Program provides meals for any child 18 and younger to come and eat at our sites for free. So at our elementary school sites, we serve breakfast and lunch. At our, we have 2 mobile meal park sites, and we serve lunch there Monday through Friday. And we start serving the day school ends to the day school begins. Our funding provides us with our ability to outreach in our community. So without funding, we wouldn't have been able to start our new rural meal. So the USDA finalized a bill that states that we can serve rural areas non-congregate meals, meaning kids or families can come pick up the meals and bring it back home with them instead of eating it at site. So what we started this year, we started seven new rural sites in the community where kids can come pick up meal bags, and each meal bag has 7 lunches and 7 breakfasts. So it's a lot of food for one child to carry. It's pretty fun to watch, especially when they try to come pick it up in their bike. But we have gotten such a great response from that. So without our funding from reimbursement from the states for our meals, but we also get grant funding. We also get donations. A lot of people, hunger is a big key in funding. So that's where we get most of our funding from. So last year, just for the year 2023, we served almost over 530,000 breakfast, lunch, summer, and snacks. This year, with the new rural meals, we're hoping to serve over 600,000. So just for the number for the summer, with just our rural meals, which is 1 day a week, and only running about 8 weeks, we will serve over 36,000 breakfasts and lunches, which is quite amazing, especially in the rural communities. When you think of rural, you think of out in the country, and a lot of times those kids get left behind. A lot of them get bused an hour somewhere to school. So summer feeding programs aren't really happening in their area. And, some people always say, well, that's the farming community, they have money. Well, people work, they're not just owning the farms. There's people that are working the gas stations in the middle of town. There are teachers that are working in town. So it's not just the farmers in those communities, and everybody needs to start thinking of the children too. And it's not just for low income. I always tell people this. It's to help the mother out who's watching 3 other kids in her neighborhood because that mom has to work during the summer. So she's technically feeding 3 other kids in the summer instead of just her kids. So this program is not just geared towards, in my opinion, low income areas. It's geared towards helping communities and families out in the summer because food is, as you all know, grocery shopping is pretty expensive these days. So any time that we can help where we can, we do try to put our nose in everybody's business. One thing we started a couple years ago is food mini pantries. So newspapers have gone from paper to online. So there's a whole mini pantry kind of craze in the country. So I got a hold of the forum and found multiple old newspaper bins. So what we did is we wrapped them, we cleaned them up, and we spread them out through the community. So we have several mini pantries in Moorhead, Fargo, West Fargo, and we'll have another one in Fergus Falls coming up. And these mini pantries are great because they're open to the community, they're open to anybody, and it's a take what you need and give what you can situation. So it's all shelf-stable items, it's hats, it's gloves in the wintertime, and we serve over 100 plus families throughout the year, throughout the month. And they have gotten such a great feedback that we can't keep them stocked. People always donate food to the YMCA food program, so I'm constantly having my staff and myself go and fill up the mini pantries. The one in West Fargo, which is at the Ladone Library Center, there's a woman there that works for a company that has baby formula, and so she constantly gets free diapers, free formula, free baby food. And so we've gotten a great response from that as far as, families in that part of the community that need those items. So yeah, that's what the YMCA food does. We have 7 open feeding sites here in Fargo at elementary schools and at the Schlossman YMCA. So anybody 18 and younger can come and eat. We serve all of our elementary schools that have a YMCA childcare food program. The early learning centers have a food program. And then even during the school year, we have 8 at-risk sites, which means that they're open to the community as well. And we serve snack and supper at those sites. So any kid from the community can come and eat at the YMCA for free, even during the school year, because we operate at-risk USDA sites. So that's what the YMCA does and what my daily life is all about. So thanks for having me. Does anybody have questions or? I don't really know how this works.
Okay.
My
Yeah,
first time.
Now we just have a back and forth dialogue.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Again, I'm Aaron. So I'm really impressed with all of what you just projected to us, and I admire your job you're doing out there. As far as the feeding programs, I overheard you reading some figures and statistics with numbers. I also understand, if I stand to be corrected, that the YMCA is also involved into senior meal programs as well. Does that also constitute the numbers, or is it just for the kids?
Nope. So I partner with Valley Senior Services, and we have two senior feeding sites in town. We have one at the Furco location and one at the Schlossman YMCA location. So at the Furco location, we serve Monday through Friday, 11 to 12. We serve seniors. And then at Schlossman, we serve Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. On average, I probably serve over 250 meals a week just at the Furco location. We have a great turnout. We have seniors that come a lot. This started before COVID. And it was great because we used to have a kid feeding area there too. So the seniors and the kids ate, and it was a great thing. COVID happened, we had to shut it down. And then when, everything started opening back up, we started to where the seniors could come and take the food with them to go. Because it became, seniors are at risk and not everybody wanted to socialize with each other. Well, now that's their highlight of their week. They come early, they get coffee, they talk. There's a lot of conversations that are pretty entertaining. Seniors have a lot of different viewpoints, in my opinion, but it's a great turnout for the YMCA. We partner with Valley Senior Services, so technically that's not our program, but we run it. And then what happens is Valley Senior Services reimburses us for the meals that are given away. So
Gotcha.
seniors can come and eat there, and they can also have the option to take it home with them.
Okay, so about the projected number of approximately 36,000 people that you're looking forward to feeding, it just has to do with the kids and not involving the senior program.
Nope, we just do the senior program with Valley Senior Services. We do publicize it. We do, we do market for it, because the more people that come and eat, the more, I always tell people, I said, come to our program, because without people coming to our program, we're not going to be able to have the program anymore. So we do market that. We do tend to go towards more kids and community children, but the seniors are still there. We're still trying to target them.
Thank you for the clarity, and thanks for the job done.
Oh, thanks.
So for like your summer feeding sites, can you say how that works and open to the community, all those things?
Yes, so when I say open to the community, so with the summer food service, there are certain times that they're allowed to feed. So most breakfasts are from 7:30 to 8:30. So when I say open feeding, I mean you can walk right in and you say, oh, I want breakfast. The staff, they've all been trained. They know the community comes in there, and they will feed the child breakfast, and the child will eat, and they can go. Now, we do kind of say that the kids can come and hang out for a minute. Because it's always fun to see new kids, or if they're kids in the community at school, is it their friends from school. But we mostly send them on their way after a little bit. And then same with the lunches. Lunches are at a certain time, so they will come, they'll eat, and sometimes they play in our playgrounds, and then they just head home. So, and at all of the elementary and Schlossman locations, it's a hot lunch. It's not just a sandwich every single day, so.
Oh, that's nice. You said that you serve both Minnesota and North Dakota. So what is it, Cass County and Clay County?
Yes.
And then Fergus is in Otter Tail.
So I serve Cass County, Clay County, Becker County, Otter Tail County, and is it Warren County, or up by like Hendrum or up Pearly? I serve them as well. And then I serve Minto. I serve Minto, North Dakota, and Mayville, North Dakota.
Wow.
So I'm kind of all over. So
Do you have any other staff members?
I have 2 drivers. Everything else is on me. So I have one driver who delivers food. So all of my elementary and ELC sites, I have a central kitchen where the food comes in, it gets put on a truck, and he delivers it to my sites because I do all the menu planning, the food ordering, the milk ordering. So he goes, does that, and then he does my park meals during the summer, and then he does my senior meals during the school year. And then I got a grant to get a new staff this summer to do my rural meals. So I have a rural meal driver, and she comes in and she packs the meal bags with a little, we all kind of help her out because it is a lot. And then she takes it and she goes out to the rural meal sites and delivers it and distributes it.
Yeah.
Your mic.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much for the information. You just mentioned about the rural side of it, where you have a driver that takes food to the rural area. That was exactly where my question was coming from, because you said we have kids coming that back from the rural area towards the Fargo area to get food. I was thinking how feasible that is for the long and short term. But have you also looked into expanding that aspect of it, that way that we don't have more kids back in long distance to come to Fargo? They can just stay wherever they are, and we have drivers go into those directions?
Yes.
Okay.
So this was the USDA signed the bill that we could have permanent rural non-congregate sites just this past spring. So this is technically the first summer we were able to start anything. And I remember being in the meetings, and my boss and I, I'm a gung-ho type of person. So I was like, let's do like 22 rural sites. Well, the state was like, hold your horses, Katie. Like, let's start off small. Let's try to do this. So what we did is we looked at the areas, we looked at where summer feeding sites were. So we started off with what we're doing this summer. And, it's one of those things where it's a brand new program. There's going to be tips and tricks and kinks that you have to work out. So we're going to do that. And then in the long run, the plan is to get another truck, get another driver, start being able to do a little bit more into the direction where there really isn't anything in a drivable sense for any families to come pick up food. And as far as the fiscal goes, that's what grants are for, I feel. The grants help fund the gas, the truck maintenance, and the salaries for the staff. So we do get reimbursed for the meals that we serve, but food is expensive. So when it comes to the end of the budget, it's, what's going to work best? How much are we going to get back? Where are we going to, and we're a nonprofit for profit. So everything that we do get back, we tend to put back into our programs. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, perfect. Thank
Okay.
you. Yeah.
One other question about the mini food pantries. Where do you have the most information about those for the community? Is that just on your website, or do you have language anywhere else?
Yep, so we do have it on our website, and then there is a mini pantry community online. So it basically is a mapper of mini pantries all across the United States. So it's kind of a craze that started happening, and I got on that train when it first started. So it's a map that shows everywhere. NDSU, I think, just put 1 or 2 on their thing. I think we had at the last Hunger Coalition meeting. So that's been a great thing for college kids, because college, some kids have money, some kids don't. So they've been a resource for people.
Okay, thank you. And then I guess, because it's kind of it's a trend for smaller towns to not have very sustainable grocery store access. Are you seeing that in the smaller towns? Like, what is the grocery store access like?
So I am not from this area. I'm from Northern Kentucky. So when I went out to, I had to go do pre-visit sites, and I'm out there and I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, do like 30 people live here? Sorry, I just touched this. I'm sorry. I'm gonna put this over there. There isn't any. And so yesterday, take for example, I was in Minto helping distribute meals, and I was asking her, like, where do you grocery shop? And she said that they usually tend to drive to Grand Forks, which is about 35 to 40 minutes away. And, I'm kind of a creeper, so, I go through all the streets and everything. I go into the gas stations, I look around and see what they have. I will say that a lot of the gas stations are pretty good about keeping staples there: eggs, ground beef, lunch meat, bread, all of those, milk, all of those kind of essentials. I was looking at prices, and they're not too out of hand for a gas station. I was kind of shocked yesterday at Minto. The ground beef was like only $5 for a pound. But I guess a local butcher, he helps out and gives all the meat to them. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, folks?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we will go into the next presentation here. Fargo Housing and Redevelopment Authority by Chris Brungart.
Brungart, that's it, exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for inviting me to come here and talk about Fargo housing. I'm always happy to talk about housing. It's not completely in my background. I used to be a public works director over in West Fargo for a long time, so I kind of switched gears and come over here, and it's a good thing to do. It truly is. Housing is an easy thing to get in your blood, and it's difficult to get out. But to let us know what it is, here's a kind of our mission statement off our webpage. It's kind of long and verbose, but really tell you the truth, we're trying to empower people through housing to be successful. It's without a house, you can't really get a job. You can't be secure in your surroundings. If you have children, know what school they're going to. So housing truly is a building block for a vibrant community, and we're just trying to work all the different federal programs to provide subsidy for low income people to have housing. What is Fargo Housing? Well, here it is. I'm going to get down to some all the different numbers. We have 39 people in my organization, and we provide mainly 3 different types of government programs. We have public housing, we have Section 8 vouchers, and we provide affordable housing. So a lot of those subjects kind of sound the same, but a little bit different. I'll get more into that a little bit later, but just get down to the numbers. We have 204 units of public housing. We have 1 low rise, 42 units Pioneer Manor. Then we have 162 scattered sites. And those scattered sites are actually individual homes and duplexes scattered throughout the Fargo area. We have 248 units of affordable housing. Those are like Elliott Place, New Horizons up north. And those are privately owned. They're owned by Fargo Housing, and we use the different types of subsidies to provide housing in those. And we have just over 2,000 Section 8 vouchers and associated programs. We have tenant support services, which is our ROS and FSS. ROS was the Resident Opportunity Supportive Services, and FSS was the Family Supportive Services. And actually, I don't have a slide on these, but the ROS coordinator actually goes out and helps families find anything they need. If they have problems with health care, or if they need some type of counseling, if they have food insecurity that we just had this great thing about. They try to match people with services that are in our community. The FSS program is actually family self-sufficiency. That's the right words for it. And this is just a wonderful program, and why more people don't participate in it, I'm not sure. It has to be one of our tenants, but let's say you come in, you start in our programs, and you're paying $100 a month for your rent. That's 30% of your rent, your income you pay towards rent. Well, as you get more successful and hopefully you're gainfully employed and you're getting advancements in your job, and your rent increases, because it's always based on your income. So your income goes up, and your share of the housing would go up. Well, this program allows you to take that difference, that delta, and it goes into a savings account. So when you graduate out of the program, you get a large check. We've had people get $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, and they're able to take that out and go out and buy a home. And that's just truly what we want to see, is people be successful, get off the government subsidies, and move on to our community. It's a great program. And then we also do new development of affordable housing. So, we just brought down the Lashwitz high rise here. which was quite the spectacle. And going back up there, we're actually digging the foundations right now. We're putting up 110 units of affordable housing, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom housing. 144, that's down at 18th Street and 25th Avenue. We currently have 14 duplexes there. We're gonna be taking those down and coming back up with 84 units. So we're always trying to grow the total number of housing and make it more efficient for us to maintain and operate. And then the Burrell and Colonial's just to the north up here, we just had a fire at the Colonial, luckily, but we're gonna be bringing those buildings down and coming back up with probably about 84 units of affordable housing downtown. So we're trying to spread it around and serve all our different types of communities. Some different things about our programs, as I said, we administer government programs. We use HUD programs for these different things. And eligibility is everything runs off maximum income limits. And they vary by what program you're in. So if you're applying to go into public housing, the maximum income for that is 80% area median income. And I actually have a slide and a couple that shows you what those median incomes are, because we're just using numbers. The vouchers, the Section 8 vouchers, we have 2,000 of those, 2,000 different families. That has a maximum income of 50%. And low income housing tax credits, which is our affordable housing developments, have a 60% median income. So it's pretty interesting. The money comes from different places, and why they have different incomes is probably different federal programs. I mean, low income housing is actually an IRS program that incentivizes financial institutes to invest in affordable housing through tax credits. And that's so that's probably where the different area median incomes come from. There's been a lot of different questions talking about how difficult for background checks and what we accept into public housing and affordable housing and things like this. And for immediate denial, here's I just want to throw it out there is if someone comes in and they're a lifetime sex offender or have been convicted of manufacturing meth, those are the only things that are going to disqualify you from housing in Fargo housing. Other potential ineligibilities are violent crimes and drug offenses within the past year. So we only look 1 year back. Now that's for our vouchers. That's from our standards to receive the voucher, that housing subsidy that they can take to a private landlord. But the landlords may have different standards than us. But that's what we do. And from documentation, it's these are kind of handed down from HUD, and we have to have a social security number, a proof of identification, and if you're foreign-born, immigration documents. So we have a pretty low barrier to provide subsidy from Fargo Housing. So income limits. Here's what I'm talking about for income limits. Every community in the United States has their area median income calculated. We're aggregated as our community, Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo, Dilworth. It's the Fargo MSA, Metropolitan Statistical Area. Sorry, I should try to stay away from acronyms. HUD's known for them everywhere, and I have a little anthology. I go look them up all the time. It's crazy, but it's surprising when you start to take a look at these income limits, how many people truly would qualify for public housing. At 80%, that's probably the bottom line on this is the 80% for public housing. A family of 4, if your income is 84.7 or less, you qualify for public housing. And even a single person who may be working as a bartender or barista downtown, whatever it is, if you're a single person is 53.9. So what was that, about $27, $28 an hour? So that's a pretty high income limit. So a lot of people can be eligible for this pretty easily. And then other thing that we talk about when we're talking about vouchers, and maybe I put these all in the wrong area, but hopefully it comes together at the end, is fair market rents. This is what we're allowed to pay out for housing units. So if you have that voucher and you're going on the open market to rent from a participating private landlord, this is how much that our voucher would be able to pay to subsidize. So if you're a 4-person family and you need a 2-bedroom unit, the fair market rent for Fargo Moorhead is $911. So if you go find a unit for $911, you pay 30% of that rent, or 30% of the rent of your income. 30% of your income towards the rent, and Fargo Housing picks up the difference between 9/11 and what 30% is. So if you have no income and you move into a two-bedroom house, our subsidy will pay for $911 for you to live there. So that's basically the nuts and bolts of how the system works. But now I just want to talk about each of our different programs a little bit more. And if you guys have questions, just yell them out. I'm happy to take them anytime. It's public housing is HUD funded. So we have to follow HUD rules. We have our different continued occupancy, and it was emissions and continued occupancy plan, which is ACOP. And that lists down all our different rules of how we operate. But like we said before, it's 80% maximum area median income. And we talk about the different units we have. We receive funding from HUD for the operating and capital funds. So capital funds is our capital improvement funds for new furnaces, new roofs, remodeling all these units. We've been in a big remodeling thing and replacing furnaces. We plan to replace furnace and all those 160 some units in the next 2 years. So and that's a lot of different work going out there. And then we also use operating subsidy, which is based upon how much rent people pay into us. They're 30% of their income, and then HUD calculates the difference that we should be getting from that, like that 9/11 I talked about before, and that comes back to us in operating subsidies. So that's this. 160 unit scattered sites, like I said, 2, 3, and 4 bedroom houses. So we actually have 4 bedroom houses here, and we're actually putting air conditioning in those. We didn't have them before, but now we are. So just kind of keep up with times. Affordable housing is most of these are owned by Fargo Housing through sole or joint partnerships. They're deed restricted. So when we build the new Lashkowitz up here, or we built the Elliott Place out on 45th Street, senior housing, that's deed restricted for 30 years. So we build this building and we have affordable housing in there, and it has to stay affordable housing for 30 years. That's the absolute guaranteed source down here. Some of the ones that we own, we have 96 unit New Horizons up North Broadway, 2500 block North Broadway, and that's 100% handicapped accessible. So it's we just rehabbed that here about 4 years ago. It's we just had a fire in there, but yeah, a lot of fires lately. But we just had one unit come out of commission. We have to repair a few others. But that's about 94 units occupied. So 84 unit Elliott Place out on 45th Street. We have, that's 100% occupied, 55 plus community. And we actually receive meals come out there. So imagine how this all comes together. Meals and housing all work together. It's a great deal. We have our 42 units of Burrell and Colonial here. Burrell's a great building. It's on 4th and 4th. And when we rehab that, I want to save the front of it. It's over 100 years old, and it's a walk up. It's a beautiful building. It has old hardwood furnishings inside. Then we have a couple more units downtown. We have Herald Square, which is just north of Mezzaluna over here in Robert Street, and we have 220 Broadway. That's Marge's Diner is our commercial kitchen there, and we rent that out to Marge's Diner, and we have apartments above it. So we're kind of all over the place here. But these are funded or built using IRS tax credits, and that's a great program. They're very competitive. The state these are allocated by state, 4% and 9% credits, and everyone in the state puts in applications every year trying to get these credits to build housing. We've been very fortunate in Fargo area. We've been getting, between us and was it Beyond Shelter Incorporated and our other partners, we've been actually able to get a lot of these tax credits into our community. Housing trust funds is through HUD. Those are allocated on a statewide basis also. We received over $3 million, those funds for the new Lashkowitz that's going up. And then we get the Housing Incentive Fund, which is created by the state legislature. And they give you money out here. It's capped on how much they provide every year. But their requirement, which is a great requirement, is they require income to be 30% or less. So they're looking for that very low income to make sure that they're not falling through the cracks. And we have, like I said before, 60% area median income on this. But all our units, we have 100% vouchered. We put our own vouchers in here because with affordable housing, it's set at the rent is set at 60% AMI, and that's what you have to pay for your rent, regardless of your income. So when we put a voucher in there, we allow people to pay 30% of their income. So if someone was 30% of their income was $500 a month, that's what they pay. If 60% income limit for affordable housing was at $600, they would have to pay that difference, but with our voucher, we allow them to pay the lower amount. So that's the tool of the voucher. And the vouchers it's our big program here. They're capped at 50% median income. We have our waiting list is currently closed. We have over 400 families waiting to get a voucher. Public housing has over 300 families waiting to get a voucher. So these programs are closed. And what we mean by closed is you put in an application and we try to cap it at a number that we think we could process the applications or there's openings within a year. So people aren't applying and waiting. So we have a waiting list, and that makes it difficult that if someone needs housing assistance, that there's 400 people already waiting ahead of them. So that's an issue. But I'm going to run down. We have a lot of different programs with our Section 8 vouchers. This is a program that we provide subsidy to a tenant, and they have to go out in the private market and find a landlord. We have a list of landlords, so they know where they can go look. And then they have to go through the admissions process with these landlords to get those housing, those rental units. And then we pay the difference between their income and whatever the unit is worth. Now, we have several different programs. We have our Housing Choice Voucher Program, which is just over 1,200. Those are just plain old vouchers. You can go take those any place in the Fargo-Moorhead area. Home ownership vouchers. We have 7 vouchers that people actually buy a house and our vouchers pay the difference between their income and what their mortgage is. So it's very interesting program. Been talking to Cass County Land Trust about this, and it's a very convoluted process and trying to get mortgage companies to buy off on it. I've been here almost 5 years and we haven't issued any new ones of those. So that's I don't know, that's failure on my part or it's just that difficult to do. We have family unification vouchers. We have 75 of these, and these are by referral only. These are for families to unify the parents and the children back together. Whatever circumstances that may have separated these families apart, we're trying to bring them back together. They're also for people coming off of foster care also. So when they age out of foster care and they don't have that support system there anymore, we can still find them housing. We have Housing Affairs Supportive Housing. These are for veterans vouchers. They're referred to us by the VA. Mainstream voucher are for people with disabilities, just so we have that special portion for them. And then we have our project-based vouchers, which we talked about before, that we've supplied vouchers for these programs. So they know that if they have, we have to have their own waiting list, but they have their own criteria. One of the latest ones is like Jeremiah program. We give vouchers for their programs. So everyone who participates in that program has a voucher and they reduce their rents. But that allows Jeremiah to actually keep the lights on. Or Cooper House is everyone's familiar with Cooper House. We have 100% vouchers in those, and that's probably the only thing that keeps the lights on. But that's a very needed thing they have in here. Most of these places all are either senior or provide supportive services, and that's why we give them out there because it's such an important thing to do. The interesting thing that we have here is we're overspending our budget authority in our vouchers. And what I mean by overspending it is HUD tells us how much we have per year based on what our vouchers are. And I don't know if our families are more needy, need more income, or the rents are going up, a combination of both, but we're overspending our budget authority. So we're not issuing any new vouchers because we don't have the money to pay for the new rents. So, but we do have, we can maintain this 105 for several years. We do have some reserves, so we're happily spending down those reserves and keeping that subsidy in our community. And that's it. Wow. I guess that's too verbose. But
Thank you.
questions?
Hi. Well, thank you for coming. It looks like we all have questions. So I'll do one and then pass
Sure.
it along to you guys. It looks like you guys have wonderful programs. You did answer some of my questions, but one of the ones that I really wanted to know is that I know talking to those who are in the community that works and do the whole grocery thing and everything, talking to them and understanding how rent is going up. How often do you guys do a study to see if, because I know you just talked about you don't know if the voucher is going because people are more needy or if the rent is going up. How often do you guys get those stats to know if you have to raise the gap in what you now consider a single family home, 4-family home, and how much they make to what you are willing to pay? Because I was looking at the prices that a $700 for a 2-bedroom, and if we could point that out.
Oh,
Just
sure,
saying.
certainly. Here, let me bring that back up here. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I was looking at the for like a 2-bedroom right now, and I'm just gonna pick a place, West Fargo, for
Sure.
instance, right? And looking for a place for a 2-bedroom with a family of 4. Now the cap is about $1,000. Let's, in all honesty, with the whole rent going up. So, is there up-to-date stats that shows this, so you guys can go off of when generating how much to give these people when they come for the help?
Well, certainly. Well, you see right here on here that the HUD actually goes through and they recalculate the rents in every year. So you take a look at this chart under 2 bedrooms, which is, has the black heading on top. In 23, it was $911, and now it's $944. Now, they also were allowed to do small area adjustments, and those are done by census tract, and they allow us to pay a higher fair market rent in those special census tracts. Elliott Place down in 45th Street, was it 40th Avenue, 45th Street? That's in the higher area census tract. So they do adjust the rents up in this way. This is just kind of like a basic overall. But even with the rents going up, they still meet this standard. They still only pay 30% of their income. So we're based on income. And when COVID happened, and if someone lost their job, they report their job loss to us, and their share of the rent drops. So it's basically, but contrary to that, the other side of that is if they get a raise at work, their rent goes up. So it's always based on that 30%. So if their rent goes up and it stays below the fair market rates, the payment standards, we charge them whatever 30% of their rent is. Their income.
No, I get
So
it.
yeah. I mean, so that's kind of like the thing there. It doesn't matter how much rent goes up.
Yeah.
Is that we're covering that, and every year it increases, incrementally increased 2-bedroom $33. I'm sure a lot of rents are going up more than that, but then that'll be reflected back in their studies. So we'd love to do more studies on that. To try to keep track in here, but HUD stuck to their own rules and regulations, and they're the one who gives us the money, so they make the rules.
Oh, okay.
So
And then I know you say you have a waiting list with some programs up to like 400
yes,
people. How do you, within that large group, sort out priorities, I would say, to who needs it now? Or is it like you work with a subcontractor that kind of feel like a 411 that kind of goes through?
well,
and say,
we administer our own waiting lists, and we have a very limited number of preferences. No preferences would be elderly if you're with children, and those would give you extra points. Otherwise, it's just chronologically, the first one to apply is the first one that has an opportunity. So, and that's how it goes. So when we open this up, I mean, when we do open our wait list, we put it on in the newspapers, on our webpage, we put out ads on the radio, so people know to apply. But it's just, like I said, we used to have just all these different priorities, adjustment points, but it just kind of, everyone got a point. So what were we truly giving priorities to? So we kind of rethought this over last year and just try and narrow down our focus to what those priorities should be. And it really just came down to elderly and children.
Okay. Thank you. I'll give someone else a chance.
All right. Firstly, I want to say thank you for coming and taking up the time to abreast us with information. I still recall in our last meeting, this was one of the things we really wanted to get information about. Also, in relations to what Rachel was just saying, I have few cardinal concerns and questions I want to profile to you. As I peruse the documents that you presented to us and looking at it here for presentation, I thought I was going to see at the end of the day analysis or statistics that shows where we are as far as the housing, the Fargo Housing Authority as compared to other regional sector or other areas that are involved into housing as well. And considering the fact that we have approximately 400 plus people with the list, that brings me to a concern. I see the numbers here looks appealing, they look great, but how do I tell that we are making progress in Fargo with housing as compared to other areas if we do not have analysis or statistic that shows this is where we are? Then if I ask myself the question, are we making progress in Fargo with our housing compared to other people? We don't have statistics that show that. So how can you answer that question? That's my first one. Now, the second thing I want you to address is you talk about we have programs that we work with private landlords. As far as working with private landlords, what are mechanisms and regulations that are put into place that govern our tenants that is under the umbrella of the Fargo housing programs with the landlords? Are we just showing them out there and landlords do whatever they want to do with them because they feel they are under the program and they do not have certain priorities as compared to the people that are not with the program? So if you could address these things for me, and I would appreciate you.
Okay, well, I'll try my best. I think on how we're doing as a community for access to housing, I think it's lacking. North Dakota Housing Finance is a state office here. They had the state demographer come on and do a study of the entire state, county by county. And they've shown time and time again in all the different studies. City of Fargo's just got done doing a housing study, and Fargo-Moorhead Metropolitan Council of Governments, FMCOG, has also gone through a housing study. And all these are kind of returning the same information, is we're short on affordable housing. We're short, fastest growing segment is senior housing, is a need for that. And if we knew how to provide more housing and quicker, we would certainly be trying to figure this out. It's very difficult to redevelop here, as I had here on my first slide here. In the next 5 years, we hope to have almost 300 new units going up. And this is taking a partnership of state, local, and federal agencies for the Lashkowitz, which is 110 units be going up here, hopefully opening up at the end of 25. It's $25, $30 million project. And if you extrapolate that over the shortage of housing that we have, there's no money. If we had the desire, I think we have the desire, but how do you fund this? And that's the issue. So a lot of people are going to continue to be housing stressed. And what I mean by housing stress is you're paying more than 30% of your income towards your housing. You're being housing stressed, how you pay for your food, how do you pay your utilities, how do you pay everything else. I guess I'm making more of a statement than answering your question. And if we had an answer for that, I think there's half this room would be overjoyed. So, and the other one, I'll tempt your question. I'm not really sure how it's phrased, but when we give out the vouchers, these go to landlords that are participating in our in our program. So the landlords have to sign contracts with us, and we have an inspector that goes out and inspects these things. They're called health and sanitary and safety inspections, and they have our inspector is HUD certified, and they go through and they check every single bit. They check the burners to make sure all the burners work, the refrigerators work. So it has to be healthy, sanitary, safe, and decent for any landlords to receive our subsidy. And if our tenants have an issue with their landlord not providing those things, we will actually go out and do an interim inspection and issue a notice to that landlord. They have to fix their stuff, or they're not going to get their money from us anymore. So, and there's mechanisms in HUD to actually go back and recoup past dollars also. So it's a give and take. It's difficult to find some landlords to participate in our programs because, some landlords, would be blunt, raise their rents. They know what our fair market rents are, and they raise them up just a little bit higher, knowing then they don't have to take these vouchers. And I think that's reprehensible, but I can't stop them from doing it. So I hope I answered both your questions.
Well, I appreciate the fact that you attempt to address this concern. And when it comes to housing in Fargo, I think the people of Fargo, and some of the reasons why we sit here, we are directly representing the voice of the people. And it's not more about me in particular, but if someone out there that's listening or watching this podcast will want to know information, where we are we making progress? I certainly do not think that you answer that question. And holding other factor constant, I do not hold you responsible. And also, I cannot address those issues if I do not have records or statistics before me that we can look at to ask meaningful questions and how we address it. It would do us great favor if you could go back to the books and put some documents together for the people of Fargo, so that we know where we are when it comes to housing, what can be done, what are some of those things that we need to talk about, even amongst ourselves here. What are some of the things we need to project to people that we need to speak more of that could be beneficiary to you as well? That would be great. There's just a recommendation from me. And the only other concern I have with you saying there's not much we could do if we tell the private landlord to take care of stuff for tenants if they cannot take care of it. It raises concern to me, and that concern would be then they'll try to report. Let agree. You say you're not paying the rent, right? And the private landlord try to report their to agencies. Does it affect you guys, or it affect the individual because it has to do with their credits and other stuff like that for rental history? Does it affect them directly, or does it affect you if you decide not to pay the rent because they are not upholding to other things? Then I feel it leads to many other things. And who is more affected in that situation? It is you or it is the tenant. And I believe we are here because of the tenants.
Well, certainly. Go back to the first part there with finding out the housing need. That's not quite Fargo Housing's purview. And I mean, it's difficult, maybe as a misnomer when we have Fargo Housing or redevelopment. We're a housing authority created by the city of Fargo. And we're really here to administer federal programs and try to build units. But I think what you're asking is valuable information, and Nicole's not here. No, I don't think she is. But the Planning and Community Development Office of City of Fargo has just finished their housing thing, and maybe I'll reach out to Nicole and see if her and I can come back to this commission and present those housing needs. And because I think, you know, getting to the right people that have that information is valuable. So I think we'll do that. And then also with we can only control the housing that we provide subsidy to. And I think if you're starting to look at private landlords who don't participate in our programs, and if they're following the rules and regulations, we don't police that. That would be the Fargo Building Inspections polices that part. And you may think that we work hand in hand, but we really don't. We know each other.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm happy to be a liaison and do anything we can, because like I said, when I started this, housing's in my blood now, and I want to make sure everyone gets it and it's good for them. And I'll do that just on my own part of advocating for our citizens.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you for coming.
Mayor, you
Small
mentioned.
question, please.
Pardon?
Small question, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You mentioned that if something goes wrong in the apartment and the landlord doesn't fix it, say the burner went out or whatever, what kind of education project do you have with tenants that they would know that they could call you to help? Because a
Well-
lot of times people are fearful.
Well, certainly. I mean, housing is to evict somebody is a physical act against somebody, and people fear that.
Yeah.
And they have right to. And they're trying to worry about, if I report someone, am I going to get in trouble? Then I'm going to be on their list, right? And I think we try to educate this is whenever we issue a voucher, that tenant comes into our office and we sit down and we give them a briefing of what we supply and what we can do for them. And I certainly hope that they're listening. And, you know, it's a long briefing. I don't know. And hopefully they pick up that detail that they can contact us. I mean, and also I tell you that we inspect every unit that we supply every year. So we're in every single of these 2,000 vouchers we have out there. We're inspecting every single one of them every year.
Oh, okay.
So we're keeping that to make sure they're safe and usable. So, but I certainly hope they feel comfortable enough, because they also have to recertify every year with us. Every year they come back in and meet with our coordinators, and they recertify their incomes, and we reset their rents every year at a minimum. So if they ever have questions, they always have that back and forth to their contact.
Thank you, Chris.
Just one question. How long does the wait-in period takes before you guys kind of publish for new candidates to apply?
It's usually on how quickly we go through the waiting list. And like I said, we typically try to gauge it for about a maximum 1 year waiting time is what we try to gauge. Sometimes it goes a little longer, sometimes a little less. Unfortunately, some people find housing in the meantime, so when they do get the letter, they don't respond. But it's typically about a year.
Okay. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I think that this is certainly just part of a large dialogue that we intend on having, and we'll continue talking in working sessions and future commission meetings about how to help you and collaborate and try to strengthen the housing approach that we take going forward. And I know, like you said, Nicole's department and Channing over at the Downtown Engagement Center and others have a larger plan in place as well that we hope to be able to just work with. So thank you for your time.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, just a really quick acknowledgement. Chris, I know we've been meeting with Chris Lawton. Our most sincere condolences for the passing of your mother.
Oh, thank you, John. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. We will flow into any staff updates.
Yes, I have two updates from the Fargo Fire Department. Fargo Fire Department recently partnered with Community Health Alliance. This partnership helps to connect community members that the Fargo Fire Department responds to who need additional assistance with care and resources to live more comfortable life with their health and well-being, sorry. And then the second announcement that the fire department would like to share is that they have new 11 recruits that joined their academy, that once they're complete with the academy, will join the city of Fargo.
That's great. Okay. And then we'll go into announcements. I know so in announcements, I also want to put out there that, so the Fargo Pride is coming up August. That'll probably happen before our next meeting. So I think Ahmed will work on, we'll help Ahmed work on a sign-up sheet for the booth that we intend on having at Fargo Pride when that happens. And then in terms of subcommittees, we got some new direction that subcommittees need to be noticed out as well when those meetings happen from our 3 subcommittees. And so moving forward, I would just ask that those subcommittees coordinate with Ahmed on those, because he should be there as well as the staff member, staff liaison to this commission. So whenever subcommittees happen, they get noticed, Ahmed's there, we have the meeting, we have the notes for those, and then we can move forward with that. Any questions or concern? Yeah. As a staff liaison, since it's a delegated out subcommittee for this commission, it's still a necessity to have Ahmed there as a staff liaison. Okay, and then I guess for right now, and just in favor of time, we'll go, unless anybody else had any pressing announcements they want to say.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to take 10 seconds. I'd like to acknowledge and congratulate Zoe Absey for her election to the Park Board and Kristen Nelson for her election to the School Board.
And I suppose with that as well, at our next meeting in August, we will have a recognition for Cheryl Schafel, who stepped away from this commission, and we'll thank her more properly next meeting. And then we'll be going through the interviews for the next commission member up here as well over the next month. Then, okay, so we will flow into public comment then. Those who wish to address the Human Rights Commission must use a sign-in sheet. Speakers must state their name and will be limited to 2.5 minutes. Comments should not contain profanity or personal attacks. Do we have anybody signed up?
Victoria Johnson.
Fantastic. Okay. I mean, nobody's left the seats up here yet, so whatever.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, my name is Victoria. I'm going to be really quick. I just wanted to come up here and talk about our event that's coming up, Back to School Connect 2.0. We did it last year. It was our first time we did it. It was a pilot. We wanted to see if there was a need in our community. We were expecting 100 to 150 people last year. We ended up with close to 500 people. We ran out of supplies. We didn't know what we were doing. So this year, we're very, very prepared. We have a lot more supplies. We have collaborative partners. So people you see the flyers are just those we had collaborated with in the past. But we have more vendors that sign up, and the deadline was July 15th. And so we have more tables with different vendors and different resources. The whole point of Back to School Connect is about really connecting our children, our youth to resources and services. And we're going to provide free sports physical to kids. We're going to have free school supplies, fill backpack with a lot of school supplies in it. Will be free food for everybody. That's one of our biggest priority, as she spoke about food security. So we have families that come in that don't have kids. They just come in to eat something and just be part of the event and be part of the community. And we're gonna have, the food grade bank. It's gonna be there. So we're kind of excited to have a huge collaborative partner this year. Pediatric partner is gonna be there too, to provide free early screening interventions and things like that for family. All the services and everything that's going to be there, it's going to be completely free. Red Cross is going to be there to do some events and teach people some educational and Safe Kids and Sanford Pediatric Trauma Unit is going to be there to teach families about pediatric trauma and things like that. So we're very, very excited this year. Last year, our mayor, very humble, he came out and helped us and did some sports physical for kids. It was really great to see our elected official coming out to just, the kids were so excited to have their sports physical signed up by the mayor and going to school to say, oh my God, my sports physical was done by a mayor, right? So that was really great. So we hope to see you guys there. And I hope you guys will set a booth. If don't, that's fine. But we're very, very, very excited for this year. And like I said, we have a lot of supply this year. So we're not going to run out of supplies. And we're so grateful for our supporters. And thank you, Dr. Hogan. And thank you to our sponsors. We have some great sponsors this year. We did not expect the donation and the sponsors. We couldn't have done it without them. So thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. All right, any other business? All right, hearing none, this meeting of the Human Rights Commission stands adjourned. Our next regular meeting is scheduled for August 15th, 2024 at noon. Our next working session is scheduled for August 1st, 2024 at 10 a.m.